If you have been passed over for a promotion, you might feel disheartened and humiliated. Perhaps you were so close, maybe you were even one of the final 2 candidates. You know you can do the job and perhaps you were even promised it. While no one liked hearing the news that we didn't meet the mark, the truth is that this situation happens so often. I had my fair share of it as well. In this video, I'll share how I turned the experience of not being promoted to my own advantage and eventually accelerating my career progression and ultimately got my first vice president promotion. And I will also discuss how this experience helped me to become a better leader, and so can you if you are to use these strategies. In case you are new here, my name is Tiffany. I'm the former communication vice president of the 2 largest companies in Sweden by market cap. In this channel, we talk about all things to help middle management get executive positions. So if you want more content on this topic, be sure to subscribe and click the bell button to be notified when I post new videos every Thursday. Now let's get into it. Number 1, don't act before you think. Give yourself some grace. The very first thing to not do is do not react emotionally and spontaneously. Don't start telling yourself that you're not good enough and questioning your own worthiness for an executive role. Don't say anything disrespectful to the person who delivered the news to you. Don't complain, it is not fair. Do not start listing the reasons why you are much more qualified than the person who actually got the job. Remember, it's not always possible to improve a situation, but it's always possible to make it worse. You want to allow yourself to feel the emotion, whether it's a relief, anger, disappointment, devastation, or humiliation. You also do not need to hide your emotion. There's nothing wrong with admitting, I'm quite disappointed because I've been preparing for this position. Give yourself time and grace to cool down, but set a time frame because falling down is an accident. Staying down is a choice. Number 2, everything is temporary. You want to get a long-term perspective. Now that you've taken care of your own emotion, let's now turn to the person who got the position you wanted. Have grace for that person too. The worst thing you can do is to become an adversary of the person who got the job. When you take accountability for collaborating with colleagues of all type, including the person who was chosen for the job you wanted, you also make it easier for the upper management to consider you for promotion in the future. It shows your maturity. Remember that everything is temporary and the relationship evolves over time as well. People develop, they get promoted, they may even move on to other divisions or companies in the future. You might find yourself reporting to them, or they may work in a place where you need their help from. Instead of focusing on their current role, take a long-term perspective and invest in your network. Number 3, getting a senior executive position is not just about results and performance. You want to get constructive feedback. This is the best opportunity to get feedbacks on how you present yourself to others. You want to be aware of your behaviors that might be hindering your chance of promotion and to understand your own blind spots. Self-awareness is crucial for any leaders, especially in advancing your career from middle to executive roles. And you want to try to talk with the decision makers in your organization and simply listen. You can prepare a set of questions in order to understand, not to question the process, not to challenge them. Avoid getting defensive as they provide their answers. Remember, there are always reasons even if you don't agree with them. And what answer you get will be very different depends on how you ask and how you listen. The decision makers and your HR business partner may often provide very vague feedbacks because they fear of losing a valuable employee like you. If they tell you vague feedbacks like you lack of leadership skills, you really want to get a clear understanding of what they mean. It's not realistic for you to work on all kinds of leadership skills, and you want to ask good questions so you can differentiate between nice to have and non-negotiable skills for the executive role you want to have in your organization context. If you resonate with this, hit that like button. Now let me share a case with you about Simon. So Simon is a finance director. He has advanced quickly through his career because of his broad knowledge in finance, from risk management, mergers and acquisition, financial planning, strategic planning. But recently he has missed out on several key promotions. So he met with his HR business partner and got the feedback to improve his communication skills. This really confused him. He took pride on his ability to present and speak clearly, and he has invested a lot of time to communicate with his own team. So the HR business partner suggested him to meet with 3 of his peers to get their opinion and perspective. All the 3 peers were very hesitant to offer their opinions until he really specifically asked for examples of poor communications from his side. It turned out that Simon was right. His basic communication skills were fine. Rather, the underlying issue lay with his ability to listen and be open to others. Colleagues complained that he tended to get locked into his own opinions and that he lacked openness to other perspectives and tend to shut down creative alternatives. Some even said he is arrogant. Overall, the feedback is his peers really suggested him to spend more time discussing his plan and align with them and get their input. Unfortunately, Simon saw this as office politics and time that would be wasted from getting things done. Then during reorganization, Simon was let go. The official reason was that he was not a culture fit in a highly collaborative environment, while in reality, Simon's peers complained that he was like know-it-all kind of person who tried to sell major initiative to his boss without taking the time to understand how the organization worked and what internal customers' needs are. While Simon's case happens in many organizations, if you are having trouble making sense of the feedback you receive, try to ask this question. Which one or two things would build your confidence in my ability to succeed at a higher level within our organization? You do want to keep in mind that changing people's perception about you, which has been formed over the years, requires visible and consistent effort, which is why it's typically best to focus just on one or two key focus areas. There are many unwritten rules in the corporate world, and you would not know which one applies to you without a thorough conversation and exploration. And career success to the top is not just about delivering the results, having a strong track record, or growing business knowledges. Often the true reason for not getting a promotion is very much tied into the soft skills. So what is soft skill? It's a combination that provides decision makers with an intuitive sense of a candidate's potential to succeed at the executive level. As you are getting close towards the top of the ladder, these qualities become less measurable and less obvious. This could add more confusion to you as well. Therefore, you really want to truly understand the critical qualification that you might be missing. In a day-to-day work, you might not often get the opportunity to get these deep dive feedbacks about you. However, after being passed over for a promotion, this becomes a golden opportunity to ask these questions, and you really want to understand the reason behind the decision. Now that you understand the real reason, then one question you can ask on this meeting is, how can we work together to ensure that I can improve in this area? For example, if you are told that you lack of experience in managing a team, then you might find ways to gain the experience through leadership trainings, a lateral job move, or a short-term assignment. What was the reason you were given when you were passed for the last promotion? Comment below, I'd like to know from you. Number 4, never assume, learn to listen. When it comes to getting recognition or criticism, never assume that you know what others are thinking or that you understand where they're coming from. When you ask for feedback, you want to remember human being. No one likes to provide honest, direct, and negative feedbacks. When asking for input, you want to show a sincere desire to understand and improve. Do not lobby, do not argue. Your core question should always be around what skills and capabilities do I need to demonstrate in order to be a stronger candidate for a higher level of responsibility at some point in the future. Get yourself into the active listening mode. Any comments or body language that shows you are being defensive will most likely cause the other person to either sweeten the feedback or move on the conversation to something easier for you to listen, something vague, such as you need to become a more seasoned leader, which is super vague and impossible for you to take any action on. You want to ask clarifying questions, but do not challenge the content. You might want to correct the facts that are wrong about you with the person later, but this is not the time. Let me share an example with you. Sally was told by her manager that she needed to develop her leadership skills after she was being passed for a promotion. Sally was managing multiple projects and her team were functioning effectively. She did not see how to improve her leadership skills except by taking on more projects. So Sally set up a meeting with the chief purchasing officer in her organization and asked a series of questions she had prepared. And she asked the CPO to help her define what better leadership would be in her case. She has been given an ever-increasing number of projects because obviously she's very capable, organized, and she's great at people management. And she always delivers and stay on top of things. During this conversation, Sally learned that the senior executive team was concerned that she was maxed out by her personal involvement in every project and wanted to see that she can delegate more and create processes and systems that would ensure the execution without so much direct supervision from herself. Also, they want to see her dedicating time for her self-growth as a leader. Sally took the feedback seriously. She put effort into rethinking how she spent her time, what time of the week she invests in growing herself, among all the projects, which ones she would be involved in personally, and which ones she could dedicate to her team and support them rather than supervise them, and what kind of meetings and reports worth her time to dive deep. Sally also changed her management team meeting and the level of preparation required. She also appointed a direct report as a governance manager to follow up on deadlines and flag situations that require her involvement. It was initially very difficult, but with intention and practice, she got better at letting things go. A few months later, she was promoted to lead a large operational unit. Number 5, be intentional about what you say yes to. Many of us fall into the trap of believing that delivering more, working longer hours, and doing more will automatically lead to a promotion. This was also me not a long time ago. However, to advance your career and take on more responsibility, having a bigger impact is not just about saying yes to more projects and assignments. Instead, you need to understand what to say no to as well. This relates back to the point I mentioned earlier. You want to know exactly what you need to work on. This will enable you to be intentional about the project you commit to. Now, for example, if the feedback you were given is that you lack of P&L track records, then you want to say yes to projects like revenue generating. If the feedback is that you lack of strategic thinking, then you want to be part of strategic projects. This is what you want to say yes to, or the ones that expand your network, your exposure, your visibility. Regardless, you should have a clear purpose before you take on more work. Next, work on developing your political awareness. Even if you think you are acting appropriately and confident that you are doing the right thing based on your past experience, your colleagues might not always agree with you. Each situation and context in organization is different. Behaviors that were acceptable in the past with different leadership team and different organizational culture might be perceived as inappropriate in a new context. Having self-awareness is about understand what to say, while having political awareness is to understand how it's being perceived. Now, let me give you an example of a former colleague that I worked with in a management team. So he took on the position of vice president of operation just as we were rolling out a new strategy. And part of this strategy was to achieve diversity and inclusion target. So each management team members were assigned to lead a D&I task force, and he was assigned one of the activities where he need to lead as well. This would be the last priority in his previous company's culture. So he focused 100% on achieving the operational KPIs. Well, upon joining the management team, the president asked all of us to provide updates on progress of the D&I task force during our management meeting. So when it's his turn, the operational VP just quickly skimmed through without providing any updates. As a consequence, the president was very disappointed and he was upset with him during the meeting. The operations VP was shocked that he was confronted in front of everyone during the meeting by the president. By the time of the VP of operations was considered for a promotion to a senior vice president, this had become one of the reasons that worked against him. As a result, he was passed for the promotion. Political awareness involves finding the right way to navigate within your particular organization, division, or your function. So approaches that may be effective and worked in a decentralized company might need to be adjusted in a larger and centralized organization. Next, you might want to ask yourself, should you stay or should you leave? If you choose to stay, here are the key questions you want to ask yourself. The first question is, what is the realistic time frame you expect for a promotion to materialize? And second is, are there any internal job market movement or any promotion happening? You want to take this chance to understand yourself as well. Ask yourself why promotion is important for you at this point. Is it driven by the desire to achieve a higher job satisfaction or a certain personal growth? Or is it to improve your financial situation? Is it motivation to lead a bigger team, or is your motivation to be responsible for a larger project, bigger budget, make higher impact? What is it? What's your motivation? Your answer will not only guide you in your decision-making process, but also understand what is it that you are really looking for behind a job title, behind the promotion. Now, if you decide to stay with your current organization, then you want to engage with your HR business partner and your executive team to align your personal development plan with the company's promotional and succession plan. On the other hand, if you strongly feel you are no longer the leader in the right place and you feel disheartened because of this prolonged waiting time for a promotion you have earned and well deserved. In such a scenario, you want to start explore opportunities outside your organization, have a plan, and you will get a much better perspective on the job market and your own worth. There's everything to gain and not much to lose if you are to approach external job market. If you're serious about your career advancement and get result in the next 3 to 6 months, submit your application to the 1% Academy program where you will be coached by myself. Go to inspiremyday.org/apply or click the link in the description below to book a free strategy call with me. For now, I'll leave you with this video to find out why you should not stay out of office politics.